Hey everyone, TyzerGaming here, and I just wanted to give you a little bit of a warning about today's video. Nothing serious or anything, but apparently there's some audio issues. Background conversation was recorded, and you can semi-make out what the people are saying. They're not totally audible, so it's not that you can't hear what Tyzer and I are saying, but they weren't a part of our conversation. They weren't there during the conversation. It was just that you can hear their audio in the footage. So they're not totally audible, but it might be confusing for some. Hopefully not too much so. And hopefully you all can still enjoy the video. I tried to remove it, but it started to distort our audio, so yeah. Let's get to it.
I think the CSR system that they deployed in Halo 4 obviously after release, I think that it just seems to be a sort of ranking system for Halo 4, but I think that they're actually experimenting with it. I think that's what's going to be the ranking system in Halo 5. I think they've just trialed it out now, but they're going to fully implement it as the ranking system in Halo 4. 5 even, what am I talking about? And then of course do whatever else they want to there, because with Halo 4 of course you just got your arm pieces for free for reaching a certain level. What I'd like to see is a sort of reach saving up for a particular piece of armor, but at the same time have some that you can unlock. For instance, getting armor through commendations was very cool. I really like that in Halo 4.
Yeah, and you're right. You're totally right about CSR. They're probably meddling with it right now for something in the future, maybe with Halo on Xbox One, Halo 5. I mean, they're promoting it well. I mean, I get updates in my email. The CSR contest, like the best Team Slayer person of the week or something like that. So I would like to see them do something really. I want to say, well, I already used that. So, but I want to see them do well with it in the future.
Yes.
And
they're putting
hopefully, go ahead.
No, go on.
Hopefully it works out, because again, Halo fans have been discontent with the ranking system for well over almost 4 years now, since Halo Reach. Yeah. So, but I don't know.
They've pushed a lot of resources and effort into it, so I think it's not something they're just going to cast aside. It's going to have a big involvement in the next Halo, I think.
Indeed.
So, next thing, this is probably one of the larger points actually, is the debate: firefight, Spartan Ops, or both?
Well, since it's on Xbox One, Xbox One would have memory for both. Yeah. So you could probably include both depending on how much they want to give to like visuals or enemy intelligence and what have you, and how many enemies on screen at once. But I think you could do both if they could pull it off. I would like it. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, I'm not diminishing firefight, but compared to something like Spartan Ops, I think it would use a lot less resources in the sense. For campaign, you've already created the enemy models, so grunts, Prometheans, whatever. So you've created their models and how they behave in a combat scenario. So realistically, firefight is basically you've got your created enemies already. You can create new maps or just use locations you already created, mash them together, and just stick in a few settings, saying, okay, these guys should spawn here instead of where they do in the campaign, and there you go. Whereas Spartan Ops is significantly more resource.
It's challenging.
Yeah, but for me it was worth it. I mean, the missions, I think people got too hyped about missions and said, oh, this is gonna be amazing. It's gonna be like a second campaign. No, in my view, I think they were just meant to be short, fun missions, and that's what I saw them as. Yeah. Whereas the actual story side and the cutscene side, I thought was absolutely fantastic.
I don't know how they could change Spartan Ops in that regard. How people wanted it to be like a second campaign, and that's sort of how it was marketed when it was first talked about, that it would be sort of a second campaign.
Yeah.
But it's really tough because campaigns take years to develop in the modern age. Fully just delicious campaigns, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, especially Halo of all things. That's one of the biggest sort of story-heavy ones out there.
So this weekly system here in Spartan Ops, it's sort of hard to keep up with and to make interesting. So, in that it's challenging in two aspects, for the developers and then maybe for the fans. But when it comes to firefight, I don't know. That's quick fun. You know what I mean? It's quick fun. Get your friends together, hold down in a certain area and have a seemingly endless amount of enemies rush towards you. It was awesome in ODST. I really liked it there.
Yeah.
Reach's firefight seemed a little too bland to me, but
that's what I was going to say. Is I think in ODST they did it right. I don't know what it was, but ODST just felt right. Reach was a bit, I guess how you put it, really bland. It had a lot more customization, but I think it became too easy on top of anything because it was defined mainly by you, and then from that they would gauge what the community did and say, okay, let's do this for the online offering. I think it was much better in ODST where they said, okay, here's your challenge, like it or lump it. And a lot of people took on the challenge and enjoyed it because it was a challenge.
I agree. What else did you want to talk about? Because I had a point here, but I don't know if it goes with what you want to talk about.
It's going to be moving on to story next.
Let's go.
Okay. Halo 4, one of the biggest criticisms, not from myself personally, because well, you'll see why in a minute, but from a lot of people, was the story wasn't very accessible. As in, you could follow it from Halo 3, yes, but there was a lot of references and that sort of thing that really relied on a wider reading. For instance, the Karen Travis novels.
Yeah, I could see that point. As a Halo fan, I enjoyed the Halo 4 story because I knew these references that they were giving away in Halo 4, and I was like super excited when I first saw the librarian.
Yeah,
I was in these other elements that were only before seen in fiction, in the fiction, the books, like the novels and everything like that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, even little things like when the Didact calls Cortana an Ancilla, that sent shivers down my spine. I went, wow, okay, that's cool. It's just very simple things, but a lot of people would struggle to follow that. They go, oh, who's the librarian, who's the Didact?
Because unless you went to the terminals in Halo 3, they mentioned the Didact briefly.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know who the Didact was if you're just a casual Halo fan. And the Halo universe is massive. It's expansive. It's everything, man. So I think there are a lot of Halo fans that have only played the game and have never really delved into the backstory.
Yeah.
So if you're one of those fans, I could see how the Halo 4 story was too much.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I mean, like, what the heck's a shield world? I mean, when they got there and then Cortana went, oh, there's a 4 on the planet, great. Oh, suddenly we're on the inside of the core, which happens to be hollow, and we've gone through multiple layers, and we expect you to know that. But to most people, they go, hang on, this is just a what?
I feel bad for 343 because they obviously had to go somewhere from the legendary ending of Halo 3.
Yeah.
Master Chief is drifting somewhere. Where is he going? And it's sort of hard to make apparent what a shield world is. I think they tried their best.
Yeah.
Because you had Cortana explain these things when you woke up in Halo 4.
Yeah.
But
I could see the difficulty.
But then again, there will be some people who just want to experience. I don't know. They just want to experience the story easily. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to have to think too hard about it.
No, I agree. I mean, that's one of the things that made Assassin's Creed sort of awkward at times, was because you'd get to the modern day and you'd be like, hang on a minute, but what happened here? I have no idea what's going on.
Right.
It has to carry you to a certain extent in terms of staying up with the story.
And Assassin's Creed is a perfect example. Most people waking up from the Animus and wanting to play as Desmond in a modern time, but then they're confused because they have to go back in time. And I know Desmond is not in the most recent one, the Black Flag, but well, he is, but he's dead. Spoiler.
Yeah.
But
hopefully there's only Halo fans watching this, but
but people are confused because they wanted that, you know. And so when it comes to Halo, I think they're sort of used to Bungie's storytelling methods.
Yeah.
And in Halo 4 and 343, they just wham, here's everything from the backstory that you never knew.
Yeah. Anyway, so the final sort of point is more sort of mechanics and the way they did things, really, from me anyways, is realistically just little changes they made to the game. So things like dual wielding, armor abilities, flinching, descoping, in particular. So I mean, I can see the majority of that staying as it is at the moment. Dual wielding I could see come back, but it all depends on the context. A lot of what happens relies on how the campaign's set. I mean, like Halo 2 and 3, you had dual wielding because that's how Master Chief was marketed, whereas Reach, it was a bit more, they have rifles and that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
as weird as that sounds.
I don't know. Dual wielding just seems sort of more like it depends on your weapons, you know. The SMGs, they would. Oh, what am I trying to say here? I believe that they didn't include the SMGs in Halo 4 because the assault rifle sort of made up for that gap.
Yeah.
And so, in fans, if they would want to dual wield the SMGs, but I don't know what I'm trying to say here. What am I trying to? Okay, I know what I'm trying to say now. It just seems sort of like this cool mechanic when it was introduced, and I could see it coming back, but it will depend on how well balanced the weapons are.
Yes.
In Halo 5.
I mean, if you took
that's always a common concern, you know.
Yeah, I mean, if you took the Spiker and the Plasma Rifle in Halo 3, you'd complete dominate, because the rifle would deplete the shields and the Spike would just destroy them.
Exactly. There were some elements in Halo 3 where you can combo certain things and it would just be like, wham, you're dead. So
It's a very common feeling at the moment in Halo 4.
I don't know, and they probably already made their decision on if it's in the game. We at this time it's I believe it's still well, you guys go 19/1/2014, but January the 1st or 1st of January where you are.
Yeah.
So we know at this moment in time we know nothing about the mechanics of the game.
Yeah.
So they've probably long since decided if they have dual wielding in it or what have you. And I would like to see it return, but just make it more well balanced than Halo 3.
Yeah.
And certain things like that. Okay.
Yeah. Did you say you had a point?
Not on weapons, but on visuals and such.
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so do you have this this artwork, this concept art up again?
Yeah.
I find it hard to explain my train of thought when it comes to environments and so on and so forth, but you see how this, I don't know if this is on Earth or wherever this is, but how the sun or whatever light source this is just gleaming perfectly on certain points in this concept art here.
Yeah.
And I'm such a fan of when people do that correctly, and because it just adds to sort of again, I'll use the word atmospheric experience, and it makes you feel, well, in Halo 3 ODST, it made me, since it was a lack of light, but certain sort of elements popping out here and there telling you where to go or something like that, it made me feel alone, you know? It made me feel like a lonely ODST.
Yeah.
And
Halo 4 was more about sort of the exploration, the wonder when you saw all these pretty lights everywhere.
So in exactly what I was going to say, Halo 4, the light was everywhere, and they purposefully did that. They wanted you to sort of gaze in awe at their new environment, Requiem, and it was awesome. I think they did the lighting well.
They did it fantastically, yeah.
I'm not necessarily such a fan of, well, obviously graphics are important, and that's sort of like a common thing when people talk about video games, but I'm more of a fan of the environment. How do they draw me in?
Yes.
And right now, this concept art right here has me, well, nah, Twitch terms are sort of weird, but it has me excited.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think the thing that sticks in my mind the most is in the second mission of Halo 4 Requiem, when once you've crashed and you start exploring around, and you go up through this cave, and as you emerge into the light, you see this bright light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak.
Right.
You emerge out into this massive, expansive thing with a 4 on the structure moving and alive in front of you, dramatic music around, and you just sort of gaze at it in awe as the first big sort of discovery on Requiem.
I mean, I believe her name was Corrine Yu, the lady who worked at 343. She was not kidding when she said Halo 4 was, well, I think she said Halo 4 was the best 360 looking game that was ever created.
I could agree.
I could agree. They did a great job on that. She's since left 343 to work on other projects, but Halo 4 was well, some of the environments were kind of for me, and we talked about before we started recording.
Yeah.
But, and that was more in regards to multiplayer maps, but they really did a good job of making me feel like I was on a new planet and something I've never experienced before. And that's key when you're making a video game, and I'm sure they know it.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that that scene that I just described sticks in my mind as much as the first scene when you step out of the escape pod in Halo 1, it tells you they did something right.
Yeah. Sort of, I don't know if it's the same topic or a little off topic, but when you first wake up in Halo 4 and you go to and you see that you're being invaded by these Covenant, and you're just wondering what's going on.
Yeah.
The first time I saw Requiem up close, because we were the Forward Unto Dawn was drifting toward it, I was like, I had a sense of, I don't know if what's the right word, vertigo, or like, I felt sick, but in a good way.
Yes.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, this is massive. I'm
sick,
like,
but in awe at the same time.
I was in awe. I was like, if I were in that situation in real life, I would be throwing up in my Spartan suit.
Yeah, I mean, just when you're stood in the first bit with Cortana and she's sort of activating that portal, when you go inside for the first bit and you've got the two portals left and right,
yeah,
and then that final one that you go through at the end to get to the Cryptum and that, if you look around, I didn't actually realise this, if you look around, the actual layer that you're looking at, where it's got the pylons, I didn't realise it was that. I thought it was just a room you're in, but it's not. It's the entire inside layer of Requiem.
Right.
And at any point when you're walking around in the campaign outside, if you look up and you look carefully at the sky, you can see this especially on Forge Island, you can actually see the structure of Requiem sort of just floating and panning across above you.
Right.
Halo Skybox has always been good.
Exactly.
Anyways, we're kind of going on now. We're trying to keep this to a one-parter if we can, because if you're regular viewers, you'll know that we tend to go on for far too long.
Yeah, so
there's a lot that we did want to cover, but of course time constraints. So
what else can we cover right now?
I think the last main one got on my list really is Infinity. The whole debate of should we stick to classic Halo multiplayer, or is Infinity the way to go forward? And I think personally, classic should be the core, and then they should do Infinity as a side place, a bit like how they had what's the word? Social Slayer and Rank Slayer in like previous ones.
I would love that.
They should have classic Slayer and then a side of Infinity, or if you really, really are offended by Infinity that much, even just having, you know how they do the featured players at the moment, so they say, okay, King of the Hill's going to be here for 2 weeks, and then you can have this, you can have this. Have Infinity as a more regular one of those, perhaps.
How do you like what Halo 4 did with their playlist? Like, they have all your options there, and it's not necessarily split into ranked, social, and
I don't mind that so much. I think I like it so much purely because I hated the way Reach was done, because they added playlists and they added playlists and they added playlists and they didn't stop. They didn't clean it up. It was just a mess. There were so many playlists, you could have one player in every single playlist, it felt.
I am sort of I don't know, I'm sort of personally, I was a fan of Halo 3's how it separated the ranked and social, you know?
Yeah.
Because if I wanted to, I could go into social and warm up and then go into ranked.